Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the August 2019 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, where today we are talking about defaults, all the different types of defaults. That's what we're talking about. One topic, one virtual user group meeting. So with that in mind, I'm going to press all the right buttons to get out of here, and then I'm going to realize that we forgot to load our demo copy of Worldox, so I'm going to sneak out here real quick, and I'm going to get into the demo Worldox, and we'll start talking about defaults. Mary Jo, where should we start? Probably right on that, the screen, yeah, okay. You can't hear?
Whoops, I'm probably muted. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay, sorry about that. I was muted.
She was talking. Talking right and left.
Maybe
you could hear her through my microphone, but now you can hear her through hers.
So let's talk about how to default our screen, our home screen. So the first thing that you do when you come in, if you are seeing favorite files, for instance, and you want that to be something different, you can actually come over and you can change that. So I don't know if it's letting me click, but let's see.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we can go into Edit, our home location, okay, and you can change that to be a folder, a workspace, or wherever you want that. Now I'm going to say a folder, and I'm going to say a blank page, because the blank page takes me into that home screen that is like basically the search tab up here. You have the choice of favorite files, or maybe you want to go to a specific folder every time. You can decide. But a blank page means it's going to take you to the search one. That's what I like. That's the default I usually set. And you can do that only for you. If you were a manager, you'd be able to set that globally for everyone. But in this instance, I'm just going to say just for me.
So let's hold on for just a second and let's explain, because this is kind of the how to set defaults. Now, there's two different takes on defaults. There's firm-wide defaults and there's user defaults. So everything that we show you here that has an only me or an everyone, if you're an administrator, then you can push out whatever you have selected to all the other users, okay? So that's good and that's bad. If you intend to do that, great, because a lot of firms, in fact, I'm going to a firm flying out tomorrow, be there on Wednesday, that's one of the things they want to do. They want to get new defaults pushed out to everybody, and so this is what we'll be doing. So.
And then you can decide whether you want that to be every time. Every time you log into Worldox, yes, that's what I want. You can go ahead and say OK, and that's going to do that. So if we were to log out of Worldox now and come in, this will be our new home screen then when we choose blank page. So I tend to like this to be my default landing spot. You might like your favorite files. That's okay. Whatever you like, it's under Edit, Home Location. You can say what you want. And by clicking on whatever it's set to right now, you saw that right now it was on blank page. If I click that blank page, I can change it to whatever I want here.
Change it back to favorite.
So we'll change it back to favorites. Say next, only me, every time, and we'll go ahead and say OK. So now when they come in, if we were to log out of Worldox again and we came to home, the favorite files, or if you click on your home button, that's also where it will take you to. You're setting that home location.
Awesome.
Okay.
Now, over here, once you're on this screen, because if we are on that search screen, we still have this, but there's certain other things that we don't have. So I'm going to talk about this and the stuff on the right. So if we're on our favorite files, or any, show me all, or any other screen that's got a list of documents, you've also got some other things. But first off, there's this stuff. Are you going to have this expanded? And are you going to have, what else are you going to show down here? Now, we've got all sorts of places where we've talked about this, but this is really just what you're showing down here versus what we're showing down up here, and whether or not this is expanded or contracted like that. So that's one of the things that is affected by this customize.
No, down here at the bottom.
Go ahead, Mary Jo.
I'm sorry. I'm going to scroll it down. That's right here in this little tools.
Okay. But don't they stick if you do customize, make this my favorite view?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, okay.
But this is where you were just talking about setting it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is where you set what's going to appear and what's not going to appear and what order it's in and whether or not it will extend to fit with the mouse. I hate that. That's where you hover over here and all of a sudden it jumps over to the right a little because it needs a little extra room to display all the text.
It expands it, yeah.
That's what that is. And so if we set these things the way we want them, then they will continue, and this is kind of key to a lot of the things that you set in here. If you go to Customize, make this my favorite view, with this exposed, it'll stay out. All right.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to talk about the right side, and then I'm going to give it back to Mary Jo, and she can talk about column layouts and maybe the tile view. But on the right side, we have the ability to see or hide the preview pane. And when you're seeing the preview pane, which is kind of nice, it means as you move with your mouse or with your cursor through documents, you'll see them. And as you see them, if you click here, or long press or right-click here, you've got some defaults also about whether or not you're fitting to read, which is slightly bigger, or whether you're fitting to width, or I think fitting to window will work the same way for this particular document. Yeah, a little bit different. Those are options that you can set, and some other defaults about, well, that's the fit to read stuff. Let me see what else we've got in here. Oh yeah, normal raw text or hex values, that's going to always be normal. And then also we've got this set click to view for each type of thing, like Word file, PDF file, Excel file. You have the option to decide when you want to show them. So you sometimes you want to have a click to view instead of showing it right away. You want to have a button to click to view, so that if you've got large PDFs, for instance, you might set click to view for a file size of greater than 5 megabytes. Because if something's greater than 5 megabytes and you're scrolling through, it may take a couple seconds to show up. So that's what that is, the click to view, the normal, and then the fit to read, fit to width, and fit to window. These are all affected by this being out, and then they are saved with the Customize, make this my favorite view. So if I've got this out, and I've got this out, and I've got this positioned a certain way, and I've got this positioned a certain way, I can move this.
Yeah, you can drag and drop those widths there a little bit if you like.
All of these things are affected by the Customize, make this my favorite view. Now, Mary Jo, you want to talk about column layouts?
Yeah. So also affected by that Customize favorite view is what columns we're showing and how wide those columns are. So if we take this one and we want the description to be a little less, and then anytime we have a gray area exposed anywhere, you can right-click and you can insert a column. So this is where we can add different columns in here. You've got all your cabinet fields, which is client, matter, doc type, author typist, and you've got all these different options in here that you can add. So if I wanted I don't know if version is showing on this list, so I'm going to go ahead and add the version, and that's going to then put that column in there. Now, if I want to save this particular column, so after I've added, shifted, and even my sort, right now it's sorting on description, and I want to change it to sort to date modified, and then I go ahead in here and we take this and make that our new favorite view. We now have this option. Do you want to set this column style for all users, or no, we'll save it just for you? Again, it's kind of that same thing, everyone or just me. So you got to be careful reading some of these. This is no, we'll save it just for you. So I'm going to say no, I want it just for me. And now I've just set this as my new favorite view. This is expanded. We've got these column layouts. It's sorting by this modification. My viewer is hidden. All of that is saved. So now when I come in, this will come back and that will be my new favorite view. So yeah, all of that is controlled there. So a lot of different things there in one setting for our defaults.
Now I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to show you that if you right-click on these columns, you have the ability to save and then reopen these column templates. So a lot of times people, we're talking about defaults, but I want to point out that you can also save a multitude of column layouts and have them at your disposal. Now, why do I point that out? Well, when you say make this my favorite view, there are actually a bunch of different views. I think it's 8 or 9. This is the normal list view. There's the search results view. There's the direct access view. There's a whole bunch of different views. And so if you save this column layout, because you probably are going to spend a little bit of time getting these fields exactly the way you want them, if you save it, when another view comes up, instead of having to get that column layout exactly the way it was, you can just open that column layout and then save again, making this my favorite view. So there are different places where you need to, quote unquote, make this my favorite view. And so by saving the column layout that is your most absolute favorite column layout, so that you can then call it up at will and apply it to another view when you get into a different situation, then eventually you'll get that column layout spread out everywhere. But having it saved in between makes it easy to get back to it for those instances where you want to save it for something else. Now, that also means that you can then switch between, maybe you have one that shows email address from and to, but you only want to use that part of the time. So you might save that but not make it part of your favorite view. It's still saved as a column layout and something that you can pull back up, but not something that you can that you want to come up every time that view comes up, every time you search, or every time you just do a flat-out list of files, or you do a direct access.
Something else that's on that screen right there that Paul has up is your line fonts, colors, and spacing. This is also where you can set some things for your color of different text, or how big you want it, how big you want your labels to be, that kind of thing. And again, you can save those styles for just you or everyone. So this is important in here to change that. If you don't like this gray color, for instance, for that, and you want a different color, you want it black or something, you can change those kinds of things here, and then you can save that. So that's another default you could do. And then also one other thing on this screen with the tile view, I don't have a lot of people that are doing the tile view, but if you do, whatever you're sorting on, it's going to group those in a tile view so you can see like square sections of each of the different date ranges, because I was sorting by date modified. So now I'm seeing 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, last year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. You can go in and you can change that depending on what I'm sorting on. So if I were sorting on description, which would make this really difficult, because if you did tile view with description, that would block it in all the different types of descriptions, which would really make it not even really usable. But you could do it by category. I don't know if we've got any categories assigned, but if you did and you did tile view, you would see the tile view according to categories. And so now I'm seeing all the documents in each of the different categories, which it's not a tile. Usually I don't have the tile view set as my default, but just so that you know, whatever that is, if I were on tile view and said, make this my favorite view, tile view would stick.
Right.
Tile view is a good thing to toggle back and forth on if I'm looking for something in a grouping of how long ago or what category, for instance. But I would probably toggle it back, and my favorite view would be this as my default.
Very good. And again, as Mary Jo said, make this my favorite view is going to apply all these things. The tile view, if that's what you've got, the way that this is out, the column layout, the stuff on the left and how it's organized.
And the sort order.
And the sort order.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go into, let's go into edit profile, or edit metadata. So tell me if you see that, Mary Jo, before I get to it.
There?
There it is. Now in here, we have the ability to save defaults here. Now quite frequently, we'll have somebody come in here and click on this, either by mistake or not understanding what it does, and all of a sudden every document that they go to profile is defaulting to City of Mesa General Matter. Okay? So if you want to make defaults for this sort of stuff, maybe 90% of what you save is email, and maybe all of what you save is going to have you as the author and typist. Well, then be sure to get the other things out of there before you make this the default, okay? So if I were to click Make Default right now, the client file, well, actually, that might be a separate place. The doc type, the author, the typist, even the description and the comment. I had somebody the other day who emailed and I connected, and a certain description of the document name was defaulting to the same thing every time. So understand that when you click this Make Defaults button here, it's applying everything as a default, and that can be good and it can be problematic. Now, another way to look at this is that you can save things as quick profiles. So you can add a quick profile and set up certain defaults that aren't really default. It's not going to default to that every time, but it can be called up at will. It's kind of like saving the column layouts when you're not going to make it the default, but you still want to be able to call it up quickly. That's what you're doing when you have these quick profiles here. So be careful there. And then another thing to understand is that when you're profiling a document brand new, let's see if I can get into Word and just type test and hit save. When you're profiling a document brand new, you can also select your default cabinet. Now, Mary Jo, do you know, is there another way to do that other than a brand new?
You can do it in direct access too. Sometimes
okay.
direct access will let you, I think, choose that.
So if I go into File, Save As, oops, didn't mean to hit that. File, come on, and let's save as to Worldox. You see this little heart filled with, I like to say it's a heart filled with love. It's not